Hello again. This is Terry Lindy with Destiny Management. And again, welcome to our Conquer Diabetes program. Today, we're going to discuss a major question that usually comes up from most people can I get rid of diabetes? And the answer, unfortunately, is no. Once you have diabetes, you will always have diabetes, but you will be able to manage it very successfully. And if you are pre-diabetic, you can prevent it from going into full-on diabetes. Now, there's type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Type 1 is where your body does not produce enough insulin, and type 2 is where your body's cells, muscle cells in particular, have become resistant to insulin. So to manage the diabetes, and if you're pre-diabetic, prevent diabetes, the key is to increase the sensitivity of your cells to insulin and help your body be as efficient as possible in producing insulin, which comes from the pancreas. So exercise and nutrition are two big keys for doing this. And it doesn't take much. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to be hitting the gym 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't have to count all of your calories, all of your grams, worry about what foods to eat. You need to learn what your body is telling you. I've had success with getting people to lower their blood sugar by 20 points, morning blood sugar by 20 points, just from 10 minutes of walking per day. Now, if you have a treadmill, great. If not, you can march in place at home. You can walk outside, weather permitting. If you like to be more social and like a gym environment, by all means, get to a gym. But the point is, it doesn't take a ton of activity to help prevent diabetes and manage your diabetes. I've also had a lot of success with having people reduce their medication, and for people that have been pre-diabetic, prevent the need for medication by managing their blood sugar with fitness and nutrition. So consistency is the big key. No matter what you're doing, you need to be consistent. If you do a couple weeks of exercise and then take a couple weeks off and go back and forth, or you go 3 months really hard, get sick or injured and have to take a month or a few weeks off, that's not going to do you any good. You need to be consistent day in, day out, week in, week out. So we need to get some habits forming. And in a future lecture, we'll be going over how to make and break habits. But let's get started with exercise. You need to be doing some sort of activity. And when people hear the term exercise, it might turn them off. It just means activity. It can be yard work. It can be housework. It needs to get your blood flowing and your heart rate elevated a bit. We're not worried about meeting certain criteria for cardiovascular conditioning or gaining strength or size, reducing body fat, weight at all at this point. We just need to get some movement going, and it can be very basic, just stepping in place consistently. If 10 minutes is too much, start with 5 minutes and build from there. But we would be building up to whatever time frame your lifestyle can allow. If that's 60 minutes, awesome. But if you need to stick with 10 minutes, we'll just keep 10 consistent minutes of activity. Now, for variety and for getting in other conditioning aspects, we can get with a home body weight routine to spice things up a little bit. You don't have to be doing this every day, but you could do a couple exercises like push-ups against the wall, limited body weight squats, depending on what type of condition your joints are in, back, knees, such. Let us know, and we can adapt the program for you so that it will fit for your needs. But again, just simple activity every day is what we're looking for. And that does need to happen to some degree to keep your blood sugar under control, manage your diabetes, and or prevent your diabetes from happening again if you're pre-diabetic. Now, what this will do is it increases the muscle cells' sensitivity to insulin. So no matter how much insulin you're producing or getting in, your body's going to be more receptive to it working. And that's a big key to keeping control of your blood sugar. The other factor is going to be with the nutrition and trying to be as consistent as possible with maintaining your blood sugar levels. The issues will build up over time the more fluctuations you have. So the higher your blood sugar goes and drops and you go back and forth, the harder it is on your whole system. Now, from a nutritional standpoint, we're looking at getting in enough total calories and breaking those calories up throughout the day so that you're eating at least every 2 to 3 hours. Sometimes that might have to go longer if you get stuck in an activity or a job or something like that. There's many exceptions to the rules, but you're trying to get in something every 2 to 3 hours, even if that means like a couple bites of a protein bar or a candy bar is even better than nothing. But you're going to learn from your body how to be able to have the candy bar with getting spikes of insulin. And that has to do with the ratios and the proteins and the fats and the combination. And we've covered that in another lecture. So hopefully you have or are getting a better idea of that. And again, let us know if you need help with this because it is an ongoing process. And there are many factors that change this, such as stress and hours of sleep and so on. But getting in the calories, the correct number of calories, spacing them out throughout the day, and getting the right amounts of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats is going to help you maintain a stable blood sugar the most. If you go too long between meals and it lowers, your body's going to be set up to go into a spike situation because it doesn't know that you can just get the calories and anytime you want. So it gets a little bit defensive, but getting something in every 2 to 3 hours, getting the right number of calories, and then also making sure that the water intake is sufficient so that your blood, your nutrients and such aren't concentrated. Now, in addition to this, there's a lot of vitamins and minerals and supplements that help stabilize blood sugar. And we will be getting into that in another lecture. And you have the handouts and the information with the modules to go through on that. So let us know any questions, but want to be consistent with the nutrition and maintain it for the rest of your life. And we will help you get to that point. So I don't see really any questions coming in. Let's see here. There is one question about fasting blood glucose levels and what it should be and what a normal range should be. So on fasting blood sugar, typically 80 to 120 milligrams per deciliter for American units is considered an average blood sugar. 80 to 100 is really good. When you get up close to 120, 125, that's kind of borderline pre-diabetic. And a thing to keep in mind with all of this also is if you get a test that is high, one period, one time, that's only for that moment in time. So there are a lot of factors that go into this as well. So I would recommend that you get another test maybe a month later and see if it's as high. If it's back into a normal level, work with your doctor, medical team to make any adjustments necessary, but it's probably not going to be an issue. If it stays high, that's where there's an issue. And constant high blood sugar puts a lot of stress on your cardiovascular system, the blood vessels. And with that stress comes damage to the vessels. And with damage comes plaque buildup. That's your body's defense mechanism. It's going to lay down plaque anytime there's damage to the vessels. So we want to get this under control as soon as possible so that there's not long-term effects with cardiovascular disease, neuropathy, those types of things. But if you get over 120 for a fasting blood glucose, we're going to try and get that down somewhere into the 120s, 130s range on a consistent basis. Some days you might wake up or be up at 180 or 200. And again, for a given day, not a huge concern. But if it's day after day, week after week, we need to address it now. If you, right after a meal, a normal, healthy person who is not diabetic would get a blood sugar spike of about 180. Now, I've worked with people that get over 300 sometimes for a blood sugar spike. So again, one time, not a huge issue, but if we're getting that consistently, we've got to work on the fundamentals of getting enough calories first, spacing those calories out during the day, getting the right amount of protein, carbohydrate, and fat for your system. It's individual. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, and making sure you're getting enough water. And water, some people don't like the taste of water and such, so we try and get the fluid in. Carbohydrates or carbonation, alcohol, caffeine, all affect your fluid intake. So those don't count as getting water. But if you added something like a flavor packet, like a Crystal Light or something to water, that's not going to add calories, no sugars, but it makes it taste better, then let's do that and get the water intake in. Everybody is going to need at least a half a gallon per day. And that's for a 135-pound individual who has no activity. If you weigh more and you're more activity, your water intake needs go up. And if you're looking at a 200-pound person who's moderately active, 96 to 128 ounces per day is going to be what's needed. That's 3/4 of a gallon to a gallon per day. Again, if you don't get that in on one day, not a big deal, but you want to try and be consistent as much as possible. And again, we're working on that 80-20 rule. So if you're good 80% of the time, the other 20% will be okay. So hopefully this helps give you an idea of what we're looking at with the diabetes. Again, contact us anytime. If you want to have a one-on-one Zoom meeting or with any questions via email, text, phone, we're here to help you. And hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.